Pretty cool. There we go. Isn't this cool? Tuck back up in here. Yeah, it's really cool. This is good. Yeah, this is better. Yep. Let's walk over here too. Nice little cove. Hey y'all, this is AJ with Blackhawk Bushcraft. Just out in the woods on this Labor Day weekend. Actually, not weekend anymore, Labor Day. And I'm back in the office tomorrow. But we wanted to hike into a lake off the beaten path. And that's where we're at right now. I'm just out doing a little bit of exploring. It's so peaceful up here. We passed two other fishermen on our way into this lake, but outside of that, there's nobody. It's exactly what I like to see. Okay, let's take a look here over this creek. Kind of see what we got going on here. Yeah, okay. Let's hike up here. Haven't seen any wildlife yet. Of course, it's still pretty early in the afternoon. I'm sure at night this place gets hopping with the wildlife, specifically down in the marsh plain. There was lots and lots of droppings down there. Okay, gonna find a place to sit, and I'll give you a rundown of what I'm carrying with me today. Oh, there goes a little squirrel up the tree. Okay. So what do I got with me today? This is what I'm carrying on this little day hike. I've got my Daypack, Meandering Maker Daypack in waxed canvas. I like waxed canvas, but depending on how many miles I'm hiking in, I will be honest, waxed canvas for me isn't necessarily the way to go all the time. For short day hikes of just a few miles in and out, not a big deal. But I find that if I'm carrying a lot of gear for, if I'm going to go out for a few days and I'm hiking a long distance for those few days, not just kind of hiking into an area and then doing like a base camp and enjoying that area and kind of scouting and exploring around, I will not take waxed canvas because waxed canvas weighs more. I find that some of the modern backpacks, if you're doing a lot of miles, having the waist belt to be able to ride the weight on your hip and the straps and just the ability to kind of compress everything a little bit nicer, That's what I prefer if I'm hiking in a lot of miles or doing several miles over several days. But if it's just a day hike into a lake like we're doing here now, just hiking into an area a few miles, and we're going to be spending some time here this afternoon and then hiking out and then driving home, I'll usually take just a day pack. And the canvas one, this Meandering Maker canvas pack is great. I've also got my chest pack here, and I'm just going to kind of go through what I have. Where would you be without a good survival spatula? And take a look at that. I actually put a pot hook in the end of the handle so that I can stir my food and also lift the pot off the fire if I need to. If anybody tries to convince you that they know how to do a survival spatula, don't listen to them. You just come talk to AJ at Blackhawk Bushcraft. This is the channel where the real survival spatula takes place, okay? Okay, so I've got my survival spatula, and in my pack, let's just give you a rundown. I've got my cutting tool, and today I've got my bush tool S in my leather neck sheath. Okay, I know, I had it in my pack. I didn't have it around my neck when I was hiking, so that if, you know, heaven forbid, I might have lost my pack, then all my gear would have been lost and I would have had nothing with me, right? So, whatever. Sometimes I'll carry a belt knife. Most of the time I just stick the neck knife in the top of the pack. I've also got other gear items with me in my pockets, but I usually won't hike with a neck knife just because sometimes it gets a little bit heavy around the neck, and I tuck it in my shirt and I kind of get a little bit sweaty and stuff like that. So just in the top of my pack. So I can go ahead and put that on here. Okay. Then inside my canvas backpack, so this is waxed canvas, and this isn't necessary to do it this way, but I find that it gives me another option to have another bag with me as well. So inside my waxed canvas day pack, I have a 20-liter dry bag. So I think this pack is around 18 to 20 liters. The 20-liter dry bag fits perfectly. So I'll go through that here too. But in the top, I've got my gloves in case it rains. Quick access to my poncho. I've got those items in there. The inside zipper pouch right here. I'll kind of get inside this pack so that you can see. Okay, so here's the dry bag. Inside the wax canvas bag, there is a zipper pouch right on the inside. Inside, I bring a spool of microcord. Oh, inside the microcord, I have a lighter. Okay, and I also have another spool of, and yes, inside another lighter. Okay, so that's what we got in there. Okay. Oh, I should probably go through the side pouches first. So, in this side pouch, I'll just go ahead and release that buckle. On this side, okay, I've got my rapid deploy ridgeline right there, and inside I also have my tarp, and that goes in this side pouch right here. Pull that out. And then this is what I'll usually take, is just my DD Superlight 3x3. It's actually, what does it say there? 3 by 2.9, so roughly a 3x3. This is super light, super durable. If I'm just going quickly in and out, and even if I'm not, I mean, I've got the other DDs too, the 3x3 and also a 4x4, just in their standard fabric, and it's pretty heavy, but this is really nice. So that goes in that side pouch there. Then over here, I just have my filter bottle. It's kind of like a Grail, but this is Pure Nova. So I can just drink and fill it up and have a way to quickly filter water, and I can also boil if I need to, not obviously in this, but I'll get to that here in a minute. So there's those items. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get this back around. Okay, So I've got some food. This is just freeze-dried, super lightweight food. This is potatoes and ham. And then I've got some chicken cashew casserole. We'll cook some of that up there in a minute. Nylon tent stakes. I find these are extremely durable and easy to use if I've got to set up a tarp. I've got some aluminum ones that I keep in my other tarp kit, but if I'm just gonna go out, I really like these. If you ever got in a pinch and needed to use these as a fire starter, you could do that too. This stuff is very great. You just basically take your knife, shave a little pile of that, and it'll catch a spark, no problem at all. I've never had to resort to using a tent stake or a tarp stake, quite frankly, to start a fire, because I've never been in a position where I haven't had other more reliable things and dedicated things within my fire kit to use. But yeah, super lightweight, super durable. There's my stakes. I bring a shamog. I always find it's very useful to have a shamog for a variety of things. You can use it as a cloth, you can use it to put around your neck if it gets cold, you can wrap it around your head, you can dampen it, whatever. Lots of different things you can do with a shamog. It's 100% cotton too, so that if you really needed to make char material, which again, I've never been in a situation where I've had to do that, but it is 100% cotton and you could char it and use that to catch an ember or a spark if you needed to. Then I've got a couple med pouches right here. Medicines, bandages, wraps, splints, all sorts of different things in here. Cotton balls, Q-tips, paracord. I've got another knife in there, glow sticks, a lighter. As you can see, a lot of the stuff that I have is redundant. Like, I have kits within my kits, and in those kits, like, again, here's one lighter, here's two lighters, here's 3 lighters. I've got some inner tube that you can use for making some ranger bands if you need to. It's just bicycle inner tube. You can use that actually for other things too, and improvised first aid material if you needed to. Cotton balls, yeah, a whole bunch of stuff packed in there. Hand sanitation wipes, alcohol, hand sanitizer. And in this one, I've got some of that, bandage wrap, I've got an elastic wrap, I've got gauze pads, I've got band-aids, I've got an ankle brace, all sorts of stuff. So those are my med pouches. Because quite frankly, this is what I will say. If you're going to have anything that comes close to a survival situation when you're out in the sticks, it's always, well, I can't say always, because I will just say for me personally, it's always going to be first aid related. Okay, I'm never going to find myself needing to rely on a knife to survive through the night or anything like that. With careful planning, you can avoid pretty much most anything that would constitute a survival situation. The one thing that you can't plan for always is injury. So first aid and injury can present more serious survival situations than other things, in my opinion. So having a first aid kit and a little IFAK, whatever, making sure that you have things, getting an injury when you're out in the sticks can really create some inconvenience. Okay. Then I've got my bush pot. This one that I've got with me today is just my 2-quart Pathfinder. Okay. Okay, so I've got my bush pot. Then in the front pouch down here, I'll just go ahead and open this one up. This is the front pouch. I've got a trash bag. This is just a 30-gallon garbage bag. No, it's not your 6 mil thick 55-gallon drum bags. I don't carry those with me on day hikes, but having a trash bag is helpful, because if we need to use the bathroom out here. We've got something that we can keep things in, dirty toilet paper, trash. Specifically if we're eating lunch, we've got a way to take our trash out with us, as well as there's a lot of pigs that come up here in the woods and come out here and hike and just trash everything. So I'll usually take other people's trash out too. Like if I see something, I'll pick it up and we'll carry it on out with us. So there's a trash bag, a roll of Gorilla Tape, just 1 inch. Okay. Flagging tape. I always carry a roll of flagging tape because if we're going to scout out an area and you need to create like an improvised cairn, you can wrap the stuff around trees. Like if you're going to hike in or whatever and you want to find a quick way out, if there's not a game trail that you're following or you're kind of bushwhacking, having a roll of flagging tape comes in extremely helpful for land navigation. So that's what I have in my pack. I hardly ever use this. I mean, I usually have to plan to say, hey, we're going to go somewhere and we're going to go scout some stuff out and do some land nav. That's when I'll use this, but it's just part of my day kit. And also I'll swap it out if I'm going for more days and I'll throw that in another kit. Okay, I've got my charging brick. This is cellular, so that it does not rely on needing to be recharged. I can recharge this at home before I leave, but if I'm out in the sticks and there's sunlight, I can actually keep this charged. And then I've got a cable, and then I have the ability to keep my phone or other devices with me charged, flashlights, headlamps, things of that nature. So that's what I keep in my pack. I've got a easy stitch or a speedy stitch. This is a stitching awl. You basically take the top of it off and you've got your stitching needles. You've got waxed thread, heavy duty. So if anything I need to do repair, if I had to repair anything on gear items, I've got the means through needle and thread and repair to be able to do some very quick and efficient lock stitches using a speedy stitch. So I keep that, and then I've got my fire kit, and inside my fire kit I've got a light, okay, just a flashlight, and then I've got a multi-tool. This is just a Leatherman rebar that I keep in my fire kit. And in that Leatherman rebar, I've got a knife, I've got all sorts of little tools, a saw if I need to. That goes in the front pouch. And then in here, I've got a variety of matches, Strike Anywhere, as well as UCO Stormproof and the striker pads for those. Because unfortunately, UCO, they are not Strike Anywhere. These diamonds are. So it makes it really nice to have something that I can just strike on a rock or whatever. And then this is just a little waterproof container. Okay, I've got my ferro rod. This is just a Light My Fire Swedish fire still. I like the Swedish still. I find they give me more control and are much more effortless than the Chinese rods. However, I don't complain about the Chinese rods because I actually like the Chinese rods too. It's just my preference would be the Swedish fire still versus the Chinese rods. Okay, and then I've got my Altoids tin. Inside my tin, I've got my fire plugs that I make myself. I've got another lighter with some high-vis duct tape wrapped around it. Okay, so that's in the front pouch of my fire kit. And then in the rear of my fire kit, I've got more DIY fire discs, a jet lighter, and let's see, what else do I got down there? Oh, just the jet lighter and the fire discs. So everything that I need to get fire very, very quickly. Okay, so those are the contents of my day pack. give me your thoughts. Maybe you see something that I've overlooked or that I should have with me that I don't. Be very interested in your comments. Again, if I'm going out for more days, I would have a bigger pack and obviously take some additional items, but for a quick jaunt in the woods, that is what I have. Oh, cutting tools. Just my little Hultafors hatchet. Okay, and then I've got some things on my body, and I'll go through that here too. So what do I carry on my person? I've got my chest pack. Inside my chest pack, I have all sorts of goodies. I've got a Write in the Rain notepad. I've got a Sharpie. I've got some thread for repairs. Here I've got another Altoids tin. Again, kind of redundant, repetitive to things that you already have seen in my day pack. I've got Ranger bands. Inside the Altoids tin, I've got more fire plugs. Okay. Can never have too many, and they're super lightweight. Okay. Then I've got in here a card wrapped with more duct tape. I've got fire cord. I think this is UCO brand fire cord. Got another cable for charging my electronic peripheral devices. I've got bank line. This is number 12 bank line, just on a gas card. These little cards I get, once they're expended, I just take a Dremel. You can do this with credit cards, gas cards, restaurant cards, or whatever. And I just make these little card holders. You can keep these in your pocket too. This is just one that I keep in my pack, my chest pack. I've also got another whistle. I've got these. These are pretty cool. These are diamond sharpeners, variable grit. So here I've got 325 grit coarse. You just have these, and then I've got 1200 grit right there, and I've also got a 600, so 350, 600, and 1200 grit. So coarse, fine, and super fine. These are just Sharple. They're kind of like the closest thing that I could say that they're like is your DC sharpening stones, Falcon even. Yeah, just got your little plate holder. You've got a holder on the back. You also have a signaling device on these sharpeners too, in the event that you needed to. Okay, but you just basically, yeah, hold it like that and hone your knife. Use it on the edge of your axe or whatever. Okay, so those go in there. I have a pair of Knipex. Very useful, especially in urban. I can configure this chest pack for urban versus woodland as well, and the Knipex I just carry both. I very seldomly ever use the Knipex when I'm out in the woodland, but whatever. Another jet lighter and a ferro rod, nano striker, a pen for the Write in the Rain. Okay, let's go ahead and put that back in. Okay, go ahead and zip that up. Let's go ahead and put that over the top again. Okay, and then in the back of my chest pack is my sidearm. Okay. Okay, cutting tool. Obviously I don't wear this around my neck when I'm hiking in. It just goes in the top of my pack. I take it out and do what I need to with my cutting tool when I'm around camp. If I have a belt knife, it would be on my belt. But then in my pocket, yep, these pockets right here. Can you believe that I hiked in? And let's take a look at this really quick. Oh my goodness. None of the gas expended. Isn't that crazy? It still is completely full. Yeah, it's just another lighter. It's a little bit breezy. But yeah, I carry a butane Bic lighter in my pocket, and no, I don't wrap cord around it because I've never had a reason to ever do that. I've never expended the fuel while carrying it in my pocket. I've got my phone in this pocket, wallet, the keys to the car. Hopefully those don't get lost ever. That would be a real pinch if that ever happened. Okay, on my belt down here, I've got my canvas saw carrier with a legume folding saw. This is kind of like your off-brand Silky. I've got a Silky, but today I elected to carry these. These actually are very nice. Now, they are not a Silky, but they work very, very well, and they're relatively inexpensive compared to a Silky. So these are good beater saws. They work extremely well. They are made out of SK5, I believe. I'd have to look up the specs on them. But very, very nice folding saws. You know, lock saws. And this is curved blade. I prefer the curved. And it just fits right there in that little canvas sleeve. I got this from a very good friend, and it has come in very, very useful. I like it. And then over here, I've just got a Possibles bag, so if I'm scavenging, I can open this up, and it just opens into a pouch. It's a little stuff pouch. So if I'm out and about and I'm collecting tinders or whatever, then that's a pouch I could carry my stuff in right there. And then it just folds up really nicely like that. You need to put it away, and that just goes on my belt there. And then these are just cargo pockets for my little GoPro. Just keep that there. And then I don't have anything in that pocket. And then I've also got my Cold Steel Recon 1 Tonto point and combo edge. I'm not a huge fan of combo edges, but in just a nice EDC utility type knife, combo edges work extremely well. In a big giant fixed blade knife, unless it was some type of a military or combat application, no, I would not recommend a serrated edge. But I'll tell you what, man, for a little EDC, those serrations cut through everything. I love it. Okay, so that's what I have in the chest pack and on my person. And I think I am going to gather my stuff and go back and get a fire going and get me some lunch prepared. About lost my glasses. Okay, let's get that going. See, my friends, you really can just collect stuff to get a very quick fire going without splitting and batoning wood. so much of this stuff is everywhere. Now, I'm not saying that that's the case in the areas that you live in, but for me, generally, no batoning, no splitting ever required to get a very quick fire going. There we go. And we're just gonna filter that out and through. That's some pretty manky water. Lots of moss and debris floating in it. Still coming out the top. Squeeze that. And get me enough water so I can take it back to camp and boil it up. Some of it's coming out the top. There we go. Probably gonna boil more than what I need. Squeeze that through the Millbank bag. Okay. And this is why a Millbank bag is really good. And I forgot to tell you that I had a Millbank bag in my Daypack as well for this. Because, okay. So, yeah, that water isn't too bad. Smells delicious. Nasty. So yeah, let's go ahead and filter it one more time. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Strain that through one more time. And go home, go back to camp and boil it. Yeah, that's looking a lot better. So that's probably about a liter. Well, this is a 2 liter bush pot. It looks like I got a little bit of charcoal or something in the bottom of it from last time. But yep, there you go. Let's go get that on the boil. Okay, some nice coals. Let's go ahead and get the lid on that bush pot. And let's just rest that bad boy right there on those coals. And let's get that boiling. Once that's boiling, let's cook up some grub. Oh, let's see. Okay. Oh my goodness. It won't fit. Well, let's make some quick work of that, shall we? Okay. Let's modify the survival spatula yet again. Just taper that down. Okay, on both sides. So not only does it have a pot hook, but we're going to make a lid lifter as well. The survival spatula. Okay. Let's go give that a try. Okay. I've modified it. Let's take a look. Oh my goodness. And check that out. Yeah, we've got a rolling boil. That's ready to come off. So take a look at this. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That is what I'm talking about. What would you ever do without a survival spatula? Now we're going to use this end and we're going to make our meal. Okay. Let's go for some potatoes and ham. Okay. And this slice. Like that. Okay. Here we go. Oh, there goes my oxygen packet. That's not potatoes and ham. What the? This looks like broccoli something or other. What? That looks like some type of a bread. It might be potatoes. Potatoes and ham and broccoli or something. We'll just let that reconstitute here for a minute. See? This is why everyone should carry a survival spatula. I mean, might have had too much water. Oh yeah, those are potatoes. That is potatoes and ham. It looked like bread. We'll just let that reconstitute. Let's take the lid, put that back on, and just let that sit there for a little bit. We'll come back and give it a taste. Okay, I had to drain some of that water off. Take a look. Oh yeah, still might need to drain a little bit more water. That's still reconstituting. Okay, just keep letting that sit for a minute. Okay. Doesn't smell so much like a lake anymore. Let's put this lid right there. Okay. Let's take a look at this, shall we? Still got a lot of water in it. It'll make kind of like a good broth. Let's see. Ooh, that hot. There's nothing like a hot meal out in the woods. And it can be a food that you absolutely hate. For example, me, I hate spaghetti. I hate pasta. But when I'm out in the woods and I'm camping with the family, the rest of the family loves pasta. And I know that it's going to taste awesome. Everything in the woods just tastes better. Don't ask me why, it just does. Ham, potatoes, and broccoli. Thing I'll say about this too, like again, that water smelled pretty lakey when I had it ready to put on the fire, but you can't taste it at all. And you only need to bring the water to a rolling boil. You know, I've heard things like, oh, you need to let it boil for 20 seconds, 30 seconds, or whatever. But the boiling point of water is 212 degrees Fahrenheit, I believe. Somebody can check me on that. But once the water gets to a rolling boil, a rapid rolling boil, that's all you need to kill any type of pathogen that's in the water. You don't need to boil it for like a minute or 2 minutes. Now this water probably boiled for more than it needed to, just because I had the lid on it so that it could reach boiling temperature a lot quicker. Absolutely wonderful. And then I'll go rinse my cookware. And again, look at how ugly that gets. All the soot and creosote. I'm going to have to probably give that a little bit of a scrub. I know somebody that would just tell me to keep it nice and black. Nice and stinky and crusty. Look at that. I think I will call that swamp sludge gruel. Okay, you can go ahead and douse this, rinse this lid off. Okay, and they've already somewhat cleaned the survival spatula. It's not sanitary, but it's been rinsed in the lake. And I'll tell you, ooh, that is some really fishy smelling lake water. Let's rinse the lid off, pour this over all these hot coals. sure there's no sizzle. Yep. Okay. As you can see, it still needs more water, so I'm going to run back down to the lake, grab another pail, and give this another dose. And some trash. Pull that out. We'll take that out with us. Okay. Let's give that another dose. Okay, some more trash. Tin foil. Somebody came up here and cooked in foil and didn't take the crap out with them, so we'll take that out. Here's some more too. Okay, looks nice and sludgy. Let's just get down and fill. Okay, no heat. Let's grab some of this and see if we can give that pot a little scrub before it goes back in the backpack. To get the creosote off, you really got to use something like denatured alcohol. But as far as like little bits and particles that get hooked on it, the charcoal's abrasive enough that it'll work. Okay, back to the lake for one more rinse. Okay, so that got some of it off. The bottom looks nice. And we'll just let that dry and then get stuff packed back up into the backpack. Because this is why you bring duct tape. So that when you have to do some field repairs, like on this nice hot pink camp chair bag that Mother brought up. I've got a hot date. Right, honey?
That's right.
Let's see, let's go around this way. Force that bag. Not gonna be coming off. Just pinch that seam. Okay, you should be good. Hopefully. Is that good? Okay. Field repair done. Gorilla tape. Okay. Time to head on back. Kind of a random video, I know, but hey, you got to see my Daypack gear dump and some swamp stew made with minky, fishy smelling lake water. That's the joys of nature, though. This is AJ with Blackhawk Bushcraft. Thank you very much for joining me today on this little adventure out in the woods. Please like and subscribe. Please feel free to share, add your comments, and until the next video, have a great day. Life in the fast lane. Life in the fast lane.